The first word my 5-year-old daughter ever spoke was my name, but the sound that broke me came seconds earlier. The soft metallic clink of 2 black objects landing in a surgical tray. Dr. Priya Nand stared at them, as if they had crawled out of Lily's ears on their own. Beside me, our new neighbor, Evelyn Shaw, went completely still. Evelyn had been the one who noticed the unnatural shine deep inside Lily's ear canal. She had been the one who refused to accept the diagnosis every specialist had repeated for 4 years: profound, irreversible deafness. Now she leaned closer to the tray and whispered, "Those aren't medical implants." I asked what they were. She looked at me with the expression of someone recognizing a weapon from an old crime scene. "They're evidence." Then Lily opened her eyes, flinched at the hum of the monitor, and breathed. "Daddy?" My knees nearly gave out. But before I could hold her, Evelyn caught my arm. "Mason, whoever's put those inside her may know they've been found. If this story makes you believe that love means fighting for the truth, please like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments. How far would you go to protect your child? 6 days earlier, I had been standing on a ladder above my kitchen sink, trying to fix a leak with one hand, while signing breakfast instructions to Lily with the other. I owned a disaster restoration company in Columbus, Ohio, which meant I could rebuild a flooded basement, brace a fire-damaged roof, and make a condemned house safe before most people finished their second cup of coffee. But in my own kitchen, a cracked copper fitting had been dripping into a mixing bowl for 3 weeks. Lily sat at the table in purple pajamas, carefully arranging strawberry slices into a smiling face. She watched my hands more than my face. We had learned American Sign Language together after she was diagnosed at 18 months old. Her doctors said the loss was profound. Hearing aids did nothing. Cochlear implants had been discussed, delayed, then ruled out after scans suggested atypical auditory nerve response. I had accepted the verdict because men in white coats had shown me graphs I could not understand, and spoke with the confidence of people who never had to carry the consequences home. Lily tapped the table twice to get my attention and signed, "Water is winning." I looked at the bowl, now nearly full, and signed back, "Your father has everything under control." She gave me the same skeptical expression her mother used to give me. Claire had been gone for 3 years. A truck crossed the center line on a rain-slick highway and hit her car head-on. The police called it unavoidable. I called it the moment my life split into before and after. For months afterward, I moved through the days like a machine built for one purpose: keep Lily fed, safe, and loved. Grief could wait. Bills could not. Therapy appointments could not. A frightened toddler who had lost her mother could not. The doorbell flashed the light system I had installed throughout the house. Lily turned toward the front hall. I climbed down, wiped my hands, and opened the door to the woman who had moved into the old Brennan house next door. Evelyn Shaw stood on my porch, holding a wrench in one hand and a dented brass valve in the other. She was 26, 4 years younger than me, with dark hair tied in a loose knot and gray eyes that seemed to notice what everyone else missed. She had moved in a month earlier and kept mostly to herself. I knew 3 things about her. She ran before sunrise, she drank coffee strong enough to strip paint, and Mrs. Alvarez across the street claimed she had once worked for the FBI. "Your shutoff valve is corroded," Evelyn said. "The leak is going to get worse." I looked at the valve in her hand. "Did you remove that from my house? From the exterior line? It was vibrating against my fence. You crossed into my yard, dismantled my plumbing, and came over to criticize my repair technique?" "Yes." Her mouth almost smiled. "You're welcome." Lily appeared behind my leg. Evelyn's expression softened immediately. She lifted both hands and signed, "Good morning, Lily." I stared at her. Lily brightened and signed back, Your dog is loud. Evelyn glanced toward her yard, where a black rescue mutt named Atlas was barking at a squirrel. She signed, "He believes squirrels are criminals." Lily laughed silently, shoulders shaking. "Where did you learn ASL?" I asked. "My younger brother is deaf." Evelyn handed me the valve. "And before you ask, no, I don't think Lily needs to be fixed, but I do think someone should look at her right ear." Every muscle in my body tightened. "Why?" "Yesterday, when I dropped off your mail, Atlas training whistle went off in my pocket. It's ultrasonic at distance, but close up it produces a sharp edge some people can detect." Lily flinched. She reacts to vibration. She was standing on grass. "That doesn't mean she heard it." "No," Evelyn said carefully. "But this morning, when your pipe squealed, she blinked before the cabinet shook. I felt the old defensiveness rise. The reflex built from years of strangers offering miracles, special diets, healing oils, prayer groups, experimental clinics. Everyone wanted to be the person who solved my daughter, as if Lily were a riddle instead of a child. We've seen 12 specialists," I said. "She's had imaging, auditory testing, genetic screening. I appreciate the concern, but we're not chasing another theory." Evelyn met my eyes without backing away. "Then don't chase one. Let me show you what I saw." She reached into her coat and pulled out a compact digital otoscope. I stared at it. "You carry that around?" "My brother gets impacted earwax." "I'm prepared." That is the most suspiciously specific answer I've ever heard. Former federal employee. This time she did smile. Suspiciously specific was the job. I should have said no. Instead, I looked at Lily. She was watching our mouths, reading the tension she could not hear. I crouched and signed, "Evelyn wants to look in your ear with a tiny camera. You can say no." Lily considered it, then signed, "Will it hurt?" Evelyn answered her directly. "No. You control it? If you raise your hand, I stop." That mattered to me. Too many adults had talked over Lily during appointments. Evelyn waited for her consent. We sat at the kitchen table. Evelyn washed her hands, showed Lily the soft tip, and let her inspect the screen. She checked the left ear first. Her brow furrowed. Then she checked the right. The easy confidence disappeared from her face. "What?" I asked. She angled the screen toward me. At first I saw only the pink tunnel of Lily's ear canal. Then the image sharpened. Deep inside, beyond a ridge of scarred tissue, was a smooth black curve with a pinprick of silver at its center. "That's not wax," Evelyn said. My mouth went dry. Could it be part of an old hearing mold? Not one I recognize. She checked the other ear again, slower. The same black curve was there. Both sides. Same depth. Same shape. Lily touched my wrist and signed. "Bad?" I forced my face calm. "I don't know yet. We are going to ask a doctor." Evelyn's gaze remained fixed on the screen. "Not her old clinic?" I turned toward her. "Why would you say that?" "Because if two identical objects are sitting deep in both canals and none of 12 specialists documented them, either everyone missed the impossible." She shut off the otoscope. Or somebody made sure they were looking for the wrong thing. I drove Lily to Nationwide Children's Hospital while Evelyn followed in her car. I called our pediatrician from the road and demanded an emergency ENT referral. The receptionist tried to schedule us for the following week. I told her there were foreign objects near both eardrums, and that if my daughter lost one more hour because of a scheduling policy, I would carry the policy desk into the emergency department myself. We were seen in 40 minutes. Dr. Priya Nand was a pediatric otologist with steady hands and the kind of calm voice that made panic feel embarrassed. She reviewed Lily's records, performed a microscopic exam, and stopped speaking halfway through. "Mr. Reed," she said, "these are not ordinary foreign bodies." "What are they?" "I can't tell while they're in place. They appear to be custom-fitted occlusive plugs, positioned beyond the narrowest point of the canal. There is scar tissue around them. Could a child push them in? Not to this depth, not symmetrically, and not without significant pain." I heard Evelyn inhale behind me. Dr. Nand continued, "We need imaging before removal. If they are attached to the tympanic membranes, pulling them could cause damage." The world narrowed to Lily sitting on the exam table, legs swinging, trusting me because I had always promised doctors were there to help. "When were they put there?" I asked. "I can't answer that yet." "Could they have caused her hearing loss?" "They could have caused severe conductive loss. Whether there is additional nerve damage, we won't know until they're removed and testing is repeated." I looked at Evelyn. "You knew what they were?" "I suspected." That's not the same answer. Her eyes flicked toward Lily. "Not here." Anger hit me so fast I nearly welcomed it. Anger was easier than terror. "You came into my house with an otoscope. You told me not to call her old clinic. Now you're standing there like you've seen this before. Mason." Her voice lowered. "Your daughter is watching." She was right. Lily's eyes moved between us. I signed to her. "The doctor found something in your ears. She can take it out, but we need pictures first." Lily signed. "Will I hear?" The question pierced deeper than any accusation. I did not lie to her. "Maybe. We hope so. But you are still you either way." She nodded and reached for my hand. The CT scan showed two dense, cup-shaped plugs sealed close to the eardrums. Surgery was scheduled for the next morning. Dr. Nand warned me not to expect an instant miracle. The auditory system, especially after years without input, might need months of rehabilitation. Lily could experience pain, confusion, and sensory overload. Her hearing might remain limited. I signed every word to Lily in language she could understand. She watched carefully, then asked whether sound had colors. I told her I did not know. Evelyn signed, "Some sounds feel like colors." Lily pointed at her. "Stay?" Evelyn looked at me before answering. I was still furious, but Lily had chosen. "Stay," I said. That night, after Lily fell asleep in the hospital room, I found Evelyn standing beside the vending machines at the end of the corridor. The fluorescent lights made her look more tired than I had ever seen her. "Talk," I said. She folded her arms. "I worked financial crimes and public corruption for the FBI. My last case involved a non-profit called SoundBridge Children's Foundation." I knew the name. SoundBridge had paid for Lily's early testing and therapy. Their founder, Dr. Adrian Vale, was the specialist who diagnosed her. Evelyn watched recognition cross my face. The foundation billed federal programs and private insurers for hearing services, devices, and surgeries. On paper, they helped hundreds of children. In reality, some test results were altered, some diagnoses were exaggerated, and at least 9 children had unexplained canal scarring inconsistent with their medical charts. My hands curled into fists. "You're saying they hurt children for money?" "I'm saying we suspected it. We never proved the mechanism. Every time we got close, records disappeared. Parents recanted. A confidential source died in what police called an accident." The corridor seemed to tilt. "Who?" Evelyn's face changed. Not surprise. Regret. I stepped closer. "Who died?" Mason, say her name. Claire Reed. For 3 years, I had imagined the last seconds of my wife's life more times than I could count. I had pictured headlights, rain, metal folding. I had blamed the truck driver, the road, myself, for not answering her final call because I was on a job site with a saw running. I had never once imagined a federal case. You knew my wife? I spoke to her twice by phone. She contacted the bureau after she found duplicate billing statements and a discrepancy in Lily's sedated hearing exam. She said Dr. Vale had performed an ear canal preparation that wasn't listed on the consent form. My voice came out rough. And you moved next door because of that? Yes. The answer struck harder than a lie. You watched us. I watched the house. You learned my daughter's language. You made friends with her. I already knew ASL. That's not the point. I know. Evelyn's eyes shone, but her voice stayed steady. My former supervisor contacted me 6 weeks ago. He was dying of cancer. He admitted he buried part of the SoundBridge case after someone threatened his family. Before he died, he gave me a storage key and one sentence. Claire Reed left the proof where her husband would never throw it away. I moved here because I thought the proof was in your house. I did not expect to find it in Lily. I had spent years learning how to stay controlled in dangerous buildings. You never rushed into a room with a sagging ceiling. You evaluated the load, found the weak points, and moved with purpose. But grief does not obey structural rules. I punched the vending machine hard enough to crack the plastic display. Evelyn did not flinch. You should have told me. I wanted evidence before I detonated your life. You don't get to decide which truth I can survive. No, she said. I don't. The absence of an excuse stopped me. She accepted the blow without asking me to forgive her. I looked through the narrow window in Lily's door. She slept curled around her stuffed fox, unaware that the adults who had promised to protect her had missed 2 objects hidden inside her body. I was there, I said, every appointment, every test. How did I not see it? Because the person who did this designed the lie for a parent to believe. You don't know that. I know predators use trust like camouflage. Evelyn's voice softened. And I know guilt is the easiest way to keep a good man from fighting the person who actually deserves blame. I turned on her. You don't know what kind of man I am. No, she said. But I watched you sign every medical warning to your daughter instead of speaking over her. I watched you give her a choice when you were terrified. That tells me enough. For a moment the anger loosened. Under it was something worse. Relief that someone else had seen the impossible and refused to look away. I don't trust you, I said. You shouldn't yet. But Lily does. I will never use that. I believed her. I hated that I believed her. The next morning I carried Lily to the surgical doors. She was small in the hospital gown, her hair braided over one shoulder. She signed, "You come too?" I signed, as far as they let me. Evelyn stood several feet away, giving us space. Lily held out one hand to her. Evelyn came forward and took it. Dr. Nand removed the plugs in a 2-hour procedure. They were black, medical-grade silicone, each molded to the exact shape of a lily's inner canal. Tiny metallic discs were embedded inside them. One had a partial serial number etched along the rim. Dr. Nand placed them in specimen cups and contacted hospital security. These were not intended as temporary ear protection, she told me. They were designed to stay in place. The scar pattern suggests they may have been inserted several years ago. Could they have been there since she was 18 months old? Yes. My legs nearly failed. Evelyn gripped the back of a chair. Not me. She knew I would not accept comfort yet. When Lily woke, every sound startled her. The monitor beep made her cry. The rustle of the blanket made her jerk. Dr. Nand reduced the noise in the room and fitted soft external protectors that could be removed gradually. I sat beside the bed and signed while speaking each word slowly, letting her connect movement to sound. Daddy is here. Her eyes fixed on my mouth. I said it again. Daddy is here. She touched my throat, feeling the vibration. Then she touched her own. Air moved between her lips, uncertain and thin. I stopped breathing. Lily tried again. Daddy? The word was not clear. It was perfect. I bowed over her hand and cried so hard my shoulders shook. For 3 years, I had trained myself to grieve silently because I never wanted her to think emotion required sound. Now she heard me, and I could not hide any of it. Evelyn turned towards the window, wiping her face. Then Dr. Nand set the metal tray on the counter, and one specimen cup clicked against the other. Evelyn looked down at the black plugs. Her expression sharpened. Those discs, she said, they're RFID tags. Dr. Nand frowned. Inside the plugs? Evelyn leaned close without touching them. SoundBridge used RFID inventory tags in high-value implant components. If those serials match their purchasing records, the objects can be traced directly to the clinic. My relief turned cold. Then we call the police. We call the hospital's legal department, local police, and the FBI field office, Evelyn said, in that order with documented custody. If Vale buried evidence before, we do not give him a second chance. The old version of me might have lunged at the first available target. The father in me wanted to drive to Dr. Vale's clinic and drag him into the street. But Lily was squeezing my fingers, overwhelmed by the sound of my breathing. Strength was not rage. Strength was choosing the move that kept her safe. Tell me exactly what to do, I said. Evelyn did. By noon, the plugs were sealed as evidence. A detective took my statement. An FBI agent from Cincinnati arrived and asked Evelyn to step outside. They argued in low voices beyond the glass. I could not hear every word, but I saw the agent's posture shift from skepticism to alarm when Evelyn showed him something on her phone. Lily slept while I sat beside her, replaying every appointment with Dr. Vale. He had been kind. That was the part that sickened me most. He remembered Lily's birthday. He knelt to her height. He told me not to blame myself. He had built trust one gentle sentence at a time. When Evelyn returned, I asked, "What did you show him?" A photograph of a purchase ledger from the storage unit. The serial prefix on Lily's plugs matches a shipment delivered to SoundBridge 4 years ago. Why didn't you tell me about the ledger? Because I found it last night while you were with Lily, and because I'm done giving you partial truths. She placed her phone on the table. Raid everything. The photographs showed invoices, patient codes, supply quantities, and handwritten initials. One code matched Lily's birth date and the last 4 digits of my insurance number. Beside it were the words, "Bilot occlusion." AV. I stared until the letters blurred. Vale signed it? Those appear to be his initials. We still need authentication. My phone rang. The screen displayed DR. Adrian Vale. Evelyn's hand closed around my wrist before I answered. Do not accuse him. Put it on speaker. Let him talk. I accepted the call. Mason, Vale said warmly, as if we were old friends. I heard Lily was admitted. Is everything all right? I looked at Evelyn. She nodded once. They found something in her ears. A pause. Barely half a second. But it was there. What kind of something? The surgeons are still examining it, I see. Well, foreign bodies are common in young children. They often insert beads, food, bits of toys. Both ears? Another pause. It happens. I'd be happy to review the imaging personally. In fact, I can have her transferred to my clinic this afternoon. Every instinct in me recoiled. She's stable here. Mason, you know I've managed her case from the beginning. A new physician might misinterpret old scarring. His tone stayed gentle. You've been under enormous pressure. Let me carry this for you. I understood then how he had controlled me. Not with threats, with relief. No, I said. I'll carry my daughter. Silence stretched. Of course, he replied. Call me when you know more. The line went dead. Evelyn exhaled slowly. He knows. So do we. That evening, Lily heard rain for the first time. It tapped against the hospital window in 1,000 tiny points. She stared, then looked at me and signed. What is that? Rain, I said aloud, signing with the word. She listened. Her face changed from fear to wonder. Evelyn stood in the doorway holding 3 coffees, one of them decaf because she had somehow learned I stopped drinking caffeine after 6. Lily pointed at the window and vocalized, Ray. Rain, Evelyn said gently. Lily tried again. Rain. Then she signed. It sounds silver. Evelyn's eyes filled. Yes, she whispered. It does. For the first time since learning the truth, I saw not the former FBI analyst or the neighbor who had lied by omission, but a woman standing very still because a child had trusted her enough to share a miracle. I took one of the coffees. You remembered? You become unpleasant after bad sleep. I am unpleasant while well rested. That's true. The corner of her mouth lifted. The moment was small, but after 24 hours of terror, it felt like a room with oxygen. Lily was discharged 2 days later with a strict sound acclimation plan. At home, ordinary life became a series of discoveries. The refrigerator hum frightened her. The toilet flush made her laugh. She hated the blender, loved the click of the porch light, and demanded that I open and close every cabinet so she could compare them. Evelyn helped without taking over. She signed while speaking. She never forced Lily to use her voice. When relatives called and said, "Thank God she's normal now," Evelyn's eyes went hard, but she let me answer. She was normal before, I said. She was loved before. Now she has access to something that was stolen from her. Lily watched my hands and smiled. The FBI reopened the SoundBridge investigation, but Vale's attorneys moved fast. They claimed the ledger was fabricated, and the plugs could have been inserted by anyone. Then the hospital received notice that Vale intended to file a defamation suit against me if I spoke publicly. A courier delivered the letter to my office while I was inspecting fire damage at an apartment building. I read it once, folded it, and called Evelyn. He wants me afraid. He wants you quiet. Same mistake. What are you planning? Something legal. That pause was not reassuring. I looked across the gutted apartment. Blackened studs stood where walls had been. Fire revealed structure. It stripped away paint, drywall, decoration. Everything that let weakness hide. Claire left proof in something I would never throw away, I said. You assumed it was Lily. What if your supervisor meant an object? What object? I thought of the boxes in my garage, the ones I had moved from house to house because opening them felt like betrayal. Claire's sketchbooks, her college sweatshirt, the blue ceramic mug with a broken handle, and a wooden music box she had bought for Lily before she was born. The music box, I said. Lily's Fox plays the same tune because Claire recorded it from that box. I tried to donate it after the funeral, but Lily had a meltdown. I put it in storage instead. I'll meet you at your house. No, stay with Lily. Mason, if Vale is watching, he expects us to move together. You protect my daughter. He'll get the box. I called my foreman, handed him the site, and drove home by a route that let me check for a tail. Evelyn had taught me what to watch for. Repeated vehicles, unnatural lane changes, a car that mirrored turns without closing distance. I saw nothing until I reached my street. Then a gray sedan pulled away from the curb across from my house. I did not follow it. I photographed the plate and sent it to the detective. Inside, the house felt different now that Lily could hear. The security chime sounded too loud. The floorboards announced my wait. I went to the garage and pulled down the attic ladder. The music box was beneath a stack of Christmas decorations. It was walnut, carved with a crescent moon, heavier than I remembered. I carried it to my workbench and wound the key. The melody played slowly, one note dragging. Claire had always hated that drag. She had asked me twice to repair it. I never had. I removed the bottom panel. The mechanism looked ordinary except for one screw newer than the others. Under it, taped to the wood, was a micro SD card wrapped in wax paper. My heart pounded. A floorboard creaked inside the house. I froze. The security system had not chimed because the garage entry was already open behind me. I reached for the framing hammer on the bench and killed the lights. A shadow moved past the kitchen doorway. I stepped behind the wall, breathing through my nose. The person entered the garage slowly. Male, heavy shoes, gloved hands. He carried a small pry bar and moved straight toward the attic ladder. He knew what he wanted. I waited until he passed me, then drove my shoulder into his back. He hit the workbench, spun, and swung the pry bar at my head. I blocked with the hammer handle, the impact numbing my fingers. He came again. I stepped inside the arc, trapped his wrist, and slammed him against the concrete wall. He was strong, but fear makes men reckless. I had spent 12 years hauling debris, lifting soaked drywall, and working in spaces where one wrong move could bury a crew. I did not need to be faster. I needed to stay balanced. He kneed my thigh. I tightened the arm lock until the pry bar fell. When he reached toward his jack, I drove him face down and pinned both wrists behind him with a heavy-duty zip tie from the bench. "Who sent you?" I asked. He laughed into the concrete. "You have no idea what your wife did." I pressed my knee between his shoulder blades. "You have no idea what her husband is willing to finish." Sirens approached. I had triggered the silent alarm with the switch under the workbench. The man turned his face enough for me to recognize him. Derek Morrow, SoundBridge's former security director. He had stood beside Dr. Vale at Lily's first charity gala, smiling for photographs. The police found a lockpick set, a burner phone, and a photograph of the music box in his pocket. They also found my address entered into the burner's navigation history 3 years earlier, the week Claire died. Evelyn arrived at the police station with Lily asleep against her shoulder. The sight of them stopped me harder than the fight had. Evelyn's hair was loose, her face pale, one hand spread protectively across Lily's back. When she saw the blood on my temple, anger flashed through her fear. "You were supposed to retrieve a box," she said. "I retrieved it. You also tackled a suspected murderer." He broke into my house. "That does not make your skull replaceable." Lily stirred. I lowered my voice. "She's okay?" She heard the sirens and got scared. "I told her you were helping the police." I touched Lily's hair. She opened her eyes and signed, "Hurt?" I signed, "Small hurt." "I am okay." She reached for me. I took her carefully, and the anger I had been holding finally found its true shape. It was not a desire to destroy Vale. It was a promise that Lily would never again face him alone. Evelyn handed the micro SD card to the FBI agent in a sealed evidence bag. "Mason did not access it," she said. "Chain of custody starts with the responding officer." The agent nodded. "Well, image it tonight." By sunrise, they knew what Claire had died protecting. The card contained photographs of patient files, recordings of conversations with SoundBridge staff, and a video Claire had made in our laundry room. She looked exhausted but steady. Behind her, I could see the green paint I had complained about, and never changed. "If Mason is watching this," she said, "then I ran out of time. I'm sorry I kept this from you. Dr. Vale told me Lily's hearing loss was congenital, but I saw him place something in a tray after her sedated exam. Later, I found a consent form with my signature copied onto a procedure I never approved. I confronted him. He said no one would believe a frightened mother over the doctor who gave poor children hope." Claire lifted a sheet toward the camera. It listed serial numbers, including both numbers recovered from Lily's ears. "I believe he is creating or worsening hearing loss in selected patients, then billing for years of treatment." Evelyn Shaw at the FBI believed me. If she finds this, trust her. "Mason, none of this was your fault. You loved us in every way that mattered. Do not spend your life punishing yourself for someone else's evil." The video ended with Claire pressing her fingers to her lips, then signing the phrase she had taught Lily before either of us knew we would need it: "I love you beyond sound." I watched the recording in a federal interview room with my fists resting on the table. When the screen went black, I could not move. Evelyn sat beside me. She was brave. She was scared. Those can be true at the same time. I turned toward her. "She told me to trust you. She did not know I would hide the truth from you." "No. But she knew why you were there." Evelyn looked down. "I failed her. After she died, my supervisor ordered me off the case. I pushed, leaked concerns to internal review, and lost my clearance. Eventually, I resigned. I told myself I had done everything possible. Then I saw Lily through your kitchen window, signing to you while you burned pancakes. And I knew everything possible had been a lie. You could have stayed gone. I tried." Her voice broke for the first time. I could not live with being safe while she stayed silent. I reached across the table and took her hand. Not because Claire had asked me to trust her. Not because she had found the plugs. Because Evelyn had returned to the place where she had failed and chosen to risk failing again. "You came back," I said. She held my gaze. "So did you." Federal agents arrested Adrian Vale that afternoon on charges related to healthcare fraud, evidence tampering, conspiracy, and obstruction. Derek Morrow was charged in connection with Claire's death after investigators matched location data from his burner phone to the crash route and recovered messages ordering him to stop the source before the Bureau moves. Vale's foundation collapsed within days. More families came forward. 3 other children were found to have hidden occlusive devices. 2 former nurses agreed to testify. Vale's attorneys offered me a private settlement large enough to pay for Lily's therapy, college, and anything else she might ever need. The condition was silence. I met them in a conference room with Evelyn on one side of me and Claire's recorded statement on the other. "We can spare your daughter a public trial," Vale's attorney said. "Children recover better when parents avoid prolonged conflict." I leaned forward. "Your client counted on parents being tired. He counted on us wanting relief more than truth." "Tell him I am not tired anymore." I rejected the offer. The months that followed were not simple. Lily's hearing improved, but sound exhausted her. Some days she chose her external protectors and signed only. Other days she practiced words until her throat hurt. We enrolled her with an auditory verbal therapist who respected ASL rather than treating it as an enemy. Evelyn attended when Lily invited her, never when she did not. Our relationship changed in quiet increments. Coffee on the porch became dinner after therapy. Dinner became long conversations after Lily fell asleep. I learned Evelyn hated thunderstorms but loved running in snow. She learned I rebuilt furniture when anxious and kept every screw in labeled jars. She told me about her brother, Daniel, who had taught her that silence was not emptiness. I told her about Claire without turning memory into a wall. One night, while we repaired the broken music box, I asked, "Were you ever going to leave after the case ended?" Evelyn fitted a new gear into the mechanism. I planned to. And now? Now Lily has informed me Atlas is her best friend, which apparently creates legal complications. What about me? She looked up. You are the complication. I set down the screwdriver. I spent years thinking strength meant carrying everything alone. Then you walked into my kitchen, insulted my plumbing, and proved I was wrong. Her eyes softened. That is a terrible declaration. I am not finished. I moved closer, giving her time to step back. She did not. I was angry because you made choices for me. I was afraid because trusting you gave you the power to hurt us. But every day since, you have given that power back. You ask. You wait. You stay. I took her hand. I love you, Evelyn. Not because you saved Lily, because you saw who she already was, because you tell me the truth now, even when it costs you. Because when I imagine this house without you next door, it feels silent in the wrong way. A tear slipped down her cheek. Mason, I came here looking for evidence. What did you find? A family I did not deserve. That is not your decision alone. She laughed through the tear. You finally learned something from me. Then she kissed me. Slowly, carefully, like a promise neither of us intended to rush. A year later, Vale was convicted on every major count. Claire's name appeared in the federal case summary as the whistleblower whose evidence broke the conspiracy. At the courthouse, reporters shouted questions, but I looked only at Lily. She stood between Evelyn and me, wearing purple hearing protectors around her neck and signing while she spoke. Mom was brave, she said. Yes, I answered. She was. That evening, we gathered on the porch. I had finally repaired the kitchen leak, replaced the corroded valve, and installed a wind chime Lily chose because she said it sounded blue. Atlas slept under her chair. I handed Evelyn the restored music box. Inside, where the micro SD card had been, I had placed a ring. She stared at it, then at me. I know, I said. The evidence presentation is dramatic. You are proposing with a federal exhibit? A former federal exhibit. Lily bounced in her seat and signed, "Say yes." Evelyn knelt so she was level with her. Do I get a choice? Lily thought about it, then signed, "Yes, but choose yes." Evelyn laughed, and the sound joined the wind chime, Atlas' sleepy bark, and Lily's delighted squeal. She turned to me. "Yes," she said. "I choose yes." I slipped the ring onto her finger and kissed her while Lily clapped both hands over her eyes, leaving wide gaps between her fingers. Later, after sunset, Lily wound the music box. The repaired melody floated through the porch without dragging. She listened for a moment, then signed the words Claire had left us. I love you beyond sound. I signed them back. Evelyn did too. My daughter's silence had not been empty, and her hearing did not make her whole. She had always been whole. What ended was the lie built around her. What began was choice, her choice to hear, to sign, to speak, or to rest in quiet. My choice to stop confusing guilt with responsibility. Evelyn's choice to return and stay. The first sound Lily called silver was rain. The first sound she called blue was the wind chime. But the sound I will remember for the rest of my life is not her first word or Vale's guilty verdict. It is the simple, fearless word Evelyn spoke on our porch when she chose our future. Yes. And after years of believing love was something I could protect only by holding it tightly, I finally understood that real love is not possession. It is truth offered with open hands, courage practiced daily, and the freedom to choose each other again when morning comes. If this story stayed with you, share it with someone who needs to remember that silence can hide pain, but also strength. And tell me below, is forgiveness earned by one brave act or by the choice to keep showing up?